It's been a wild 5 days for the city of Seattle, starting off with a devastating shootout by gang members at the Seattle Center during the Bite of Seattle. The controversies that followed leading to a showdown between the Mayor Wilson and Police Chief Shon Barnes. And tonight, Barnes has decided to resign. Here is a comprehensive timeline of events leading to his resignation. Approximately 6 p.m. Sunday, dozens of gunshots go flying at the Seattle Center, killing 2 innocent bystanders and injuring 4 others, including a 2-year-old boy. At 6:29 p.m., Seattle police on X confirming multiple shooting victims, with more info to come. Sources tell Fox 13 Acting Police Chief Tyrone Davis was ready to address the public by 8 p.m., 2 hours after the shooting. But sources also say the mayor's office told SPD to hold off. Command staff and the mayor's office then began having Zoom calls that included Chief Shon Barnes, who was out of town. At some point, a news conference was scheduled for 9:45 p.m.
But we need the police first, please.
But the briefing did not start until 10:48.
Good evening, everyone.
And ended at 11:10, 5 hours after the shooting. Fast forward the next morning at 11 Monday. Shon Barnes is back at City Hall at a press conference to brief the public about the shooting. At the end of the briefing, as he is walking away, Barnes is approached by a reporter who questions him about his travel schedule, insinuating the chief of not being in town often.
Their reports are wrong. Do you understand?
Let's go, man. Let's go.
I want to be transparent.
4 p.m. that same Monday, another briefing, but Barnes is notably absent. It's just Mayor Wilson and Assistant Chief Nicole Powell. It's now Tuesday at noon, and Chief Barnes is back in front of the cameras announcing new details about the Seattle Center shooting. On Wednesday, Barnes' office offered Fox 13's Dan Griffin a one-on-one interview at 4:15 p.m. 15 minutes before it was scheduled to start, it was abruptly canceled. At 6:33 that night, the chief appeared at the silent vigil for the victims, but he left the Seattle Center very quickly. Sources told Fox 13 Barnes was summoned to a meeting with Mayor Wilson, where she asked him to resign. By 9:30 Wednesday night, the news broke. So let's bring in political consultant Sandeep Kaushik. So Sandeep, what is your initial reaction to all of that?
Well, it's been an incredibly chaotic and tumultuous 24 hours as we've been waiting to kind of hear exactly what the status of the police chief was, right? The rumor started, I got my first text about this, I just checked, 4:22 p.m. yesterday. Someone texted me and said, do you hear, I hear the mayor's planning to fire the police chief. And then obviously the rumor mill started up. I'm hearing from council members, they're like, we're in the dark, what's going on? Today, we still didn't know whether we were hearing that maybe she had asked him to resign and he had refused, but there was no confirmation of that officially. So this went on for quite a while, right? And it was, you know, I think there's going to be real questions tomorrow at the press conference that she's called about how this situation was handled, what was behind the timing of this decision. Remember, we're in the middle of this big investigation of what happened a few days ago at the Bite of Seattle. So why do this now? And then if you're doing it, why did it take 24 hours for this to happen where people didn't know what the real situation on the ground was? So a lot of questions.
Yeah. Well, on that note, Mayor Wilson just posted to her Instagram a statement. So let's take a listen to that.
I want to clarify a few things. Earlier this week, I should not have defended the fact that the city did not use Alert Seattle. Through our review, I have learned that there was a miscommunication between departments that resulted in no alert going out when it would have been a good tool to use. I also want to name that there was miscommunication between SPD and my office about the timing of a press conference late in the evening between 9:45 and 10:45 p.m. What I did not fully understand in that moment was how little information had reached the public or the press since the incident began at 6 p.m. Had I known that, I would have pushed for an immediate briefing rather than waiting for a press conference to be organized. The frustration that was directed at elected officials arriving that evening was understandable, and it was frustration that had been building for hours. We are now putting in place processes and protocols to ensure that this does not happen again.
Okay, Sandeep, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's good that the mayor is at this point finally acknowledging that things did not go well in the aftermath of the Bite of Seattle shooting, and from the 5-hour initial delay before they had that press conference, and then succeeding days of confusion, sometimes contradictory information that was being put out, questions about whether protocols were followed, about how alerts went out, stuff like that.
Right,
so,
but Sandeep, here, just listening to that for the first time for me, what strikes me on that is, okay, she's acknowledged some things like, the alert system and all that, but she's essentially saying, throwing SPD kind of under the bus there, saying, well, I didn't know, there's a miscommunication, did not know that an alert hadn't gone out, so little information. So it seems obviously from that tone that she is very unhappy with the way public information was disseminated, and in the coming days we'll find out more on what really happened. But in my report earlier, I just mentioned, hey, sources were saying that the mayor's office was the one that held them back from, a press conference. And so there's a lot of back and forth. It's very confusing. It
is very confusing. I suspect when all is said and done, there's going to be a lot of blame to go around here about why things didn't go the way they should have gone under ordinary circumstances, why information wasn't provided in a timely way, why some incorrect information was provided at times. And look, this is a first-time mayor, first-time elected official, just been in office for 6 months, and there's there are times when having some experience of being in public office in these sort of moments of crisis where you've actually been through it before. And I should mention, pretty much every mayor we have had in Seattle has had to go through one of these tragic situations of a mass shooting, dating all the way back to the Paul Schell era. I was looking this up, sometimes multiple times in the course of a mayor's term. But if you haven't been through that before, it opens up the possibilities of making mistakes, and clearly mistakes happened here.
Yeah. So moving forward, how do they move forward, and how does she move forward when there's mistrust seemingly within the organization and definitely within the community?
Yeah, well, she's got some work to do to put Humpty Dumpty back together again on this, right? I mean, obviously, you saw a very strong appeal from leaders in the black community this morning, just this morning, saying saying retain Shon Barnes, don't fire him. And that's obviously now not the case, so she's gonna have some work to do there. There's also now, again, we're in the middle of a major investigation here, and now we're having a transition.
So it sounds like you're saying that the timing of this was bad.
I'm saying the timing is super questionable. I would say, like, even if the mayor had lost confidence in the chief for whatever reason, we'll find out more about what her thinking was there. Why do this now and kind of in this way that blew up into a 24-hour, chaotic and confusing situation? That's, I will say also, I've heard from council members too who felt like they were left in the dark over this period. They don't know what was going on. Why is Shon Barnes the chief or not? They have a lot of questions, and I think she's going to have some repair work there too.
Would you say this is unusual from your research? Have you seen something like this, something play out maybe similarly? This is
quite unusual and far more chaotic than would be typical in a situation like this. Absolutely.
All right, Sandeep. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate always your insight for sure. But there's a lot to follow. I know there's going to be some conversations tomorrow. Before you go, real quick, what are the main questions you would have for the mayor tomorrow at that press conference?
Well, first of all, why did she decide to make this move now with asking the chief for his resignation? Then, given that she was asking the chief for his resignation, once he said, I'm not going to resign yesterday, why didn't you then take the next logical step and say, okay, well, then you're fired, right? Why did we go through this sort of 24-hour period? It sounds like maybe they were negotiating some kind of settlement.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing.
Yeah, but it's certainly like added to a sense that no one was in charge at City Hall, that no one had a clear understanding of where things were headed. And again, in the middle of a moment of serious almost crisis, right, in the wake of this Bite of Seattle stuff. And so,
yeah. Well, we have a lot of questions for her tomorrow, 11 a.m. press conference, so we'll learn more. Thank you, Sandeep.
Thank you.
We appreciate your perspective. Thank you.